Okay. All right. Hi. So it is July 5th. We had the big 4th of July last night. I found a little, I was going to call this a little piece of heaven here, but if you see right kind of behind my face, it's all the junk and pollution and muck that washed up. So maybe heaven wouldn't have all that junk. But anyway, I got to be back by 3. So I was pushing the clock. I was going to go south on Highway B to one of these places for a scenic shot. And I thought, I might not get back in time. So I headed out toward Caryville on the bike trail, which I haven't been on in years. And I happened to see a little trail going. I was going to go to Porterville. I thought they'd have a little spot. And I don't know, I saw a trail going off to the right, like a walking trail, a deer path. And I thought, well, so I screeched on the brakes and turned around and found this trail. It came right down here. Pretty nice, huh? So it reminded me when I was about, how old would I have been? 12? Maybe 12. Going on bike. I biked a lot when I was in grade school too. Didn't bike from when I was like 20 till when I was like 35. But otherwise I always liked to bike. But anyway, I went out with my buddies and we just started to explore, and went on West Stewart Avenue toward this town of Stettin in Wausau. And I don't know, I saw something like this. It was like a trail kind of going off. And we took it and it led to this beach, like a nice sandy beach, like we thought we were in Hawaii or something. And the Little Rib River I don't think we knew it was the Little Rib River, but I think that's what it is, was going through there. And we just thought we'd found this secret place that nobody else in the whole world knew about. We were like the great discoverers, and it was just a lot of fun. We go there a couple times the rest of the summer. It's good except for the black flies. I still remember that made it a little bit less than paradise. Hard to find paradise on earth, isn't it? So so last night was fun. It was July 4th, and they moved the fireworks to a place near St. James, the High Bridge. So due east of St. James, about 11 blocks. I guess we're on 11th Street, so 11, 12 blocks. And I was going to watch them from the front lawn. I had half a mind to go up on the church roof, but it started raining, right? It started raining really hard at like 9:45, and the fireworks were supposed to be at 10. And so I went in the back, and there were a bunch of cars parked on 13th Street there, on the behind school, waiting for the fireworks to start. Well, they started, but not at 10. They started at 10:28. So the people that were patient and waited were rewarded. I don't know if it's because it was humid or what, but it was the first time. And I think thanks to people that put that on. I think Festival put that on for us or whatever. So I can buy my cereal from them this week. Anyway, so it was delayed, and then it went off, and then the finale, I don't know what happened on the finale. I was delayed because of the storm, but it wasn't I saw him Sunday night in Chippewa Falls. It was the same, it was also Festival sponsored that too, and it was more of a finale. So I don't know if the rain got to some of the finale fireworks, but what made it a little dull was I don't know, smoke or a cloud, but I've never been at a fireworks where you couldn't see some of the fireworks because of the cloud in front of it. So that was strange. I don't mean to be negative. It's a free thing. It's entertaining. It's beautiful. I got to meet some of my neighbors, which was fun. I went across the street and I saw Janet Howard's old house where her son lives when he's visiting her. And I saw there were people on the porch there, and it was raining, so it was good to have a porch with a cover, with a roof over it. And we waited it out for a half hour, and then we're rewarded with a nice show. So then I saw Tim DeZiel. He had pulled up because he thought maybe he could see him from his house over there on 14th, and he could not. So he drove over to church, and he had a good time. And he said, "I'm thinking, Father, next year you got to have one of those softball nights, family softball. Maybe later though, like 7:30, And then afterwards have a little fire, and then on July 4th, it'll be on a Thursday next year, and then they can end it with fireworks. It'll be great, it'll be great. So that's good. So Tim's in charge of organizing that for next year. That'll be good. So I got some stuff. But July 4th, anyway, went home, went to Wausau Monday night and through Tuesday. Mom just, I've mentioned on here that Mom had some small strokes in May, and it set her back mentally. And so, like a lot of people that have hit some real serious limitations in aging, Mom has too. She has, physically she's doing okay, but mentally a lot of memory stuff and orientation and things like that are maybe not going to be coming back, and then she lost a lot on those levels. So but she's so gracious. We were able to go out to eat again in the morning. Went out for breakfast, and she had a good breakfast. I was surprised because she hasn't been eating too much, and my brother was there too. And but what I really appreciated about seeing Mom and being with Mom there was she's always aware of other people, and some of this is just instinct, or I don't know if instinct, but ingrained way of being, so that when you have cognitive issues, you still maintain some of that, and some of it's really good. And she just would, whenever anyone would be walking toward our table, she just had that same beautiful smile, and she'd kind of look at them and nod. It's just like a way of greeting the stranger into your midst, or being friendly and she had that, and that was just like always, I've always known her that way. So I hope that continues. Just a very graceful, open, happy disposition, that's always, I think she said right on my, she said right on my gravestone, but we say about me after I die, she said, just say that I liked people. I just think that's a good thing. I hope I have a good share of that genetic disposition, if it is such a thing. Anyway, I really, Mom's a really good person. So, let's see. Hey, we're gonna have night at the Express. What's the Express? Well, it's the semi-pro baseball team in Eau Claire, the higher level one. I don't mean to put down Cavaliers, but they're a little bit lower, I think. And Coach Neese plays in that league against the Cavaliers for the Rivermen. But anyway, the Eau Claire Express are playing on. I got this little bit dirt stuff I'm sitting on. So August 6th, there's a 2:00 game in the afternoon, and Beth, our great idea person, and our only staff member under 40, is got some good ideas and knows how to use technology real well. She said, can we have a fan deck night for the parish? So there's a fan deck that, I don't know if you rent it or you have to pay. So the ticket will be $36, but wait, for you it'll just be $30 because the parish will pick up the $6. So it'll be like a 20% discount. No, not quite, but 17% maybe. So it would, it'll be fun because we got the Mancino's package. We got the deluxe package. So if you go there, you'll have eat. You'll have your meal. They have a lot of Mancino's subs, which are excellent. I heard something about a dessert cart or something, so that might be part of it too. I don't know that beverages are part of the fee, but anyway, for $30, come to St. James Night on August 6th for a really good meal and a baseball game, and of course, mainly time to get together with other folks from the parish and have a good time. Right? That'll be a warm up for our Summer Fest, which is the following weekend. This is August 6th. It's a Sunday afternoon, 2:00 game. Okay, so I wanted to make sure I remember to say that. Good day, sunshine. Good day, sunshine. Good day, sunshine. You know that song? It's the Beatles. At staff meeting this morning, we couldn't remember what was before sunshine, so I looked it up, and it's good day. Good day, sunshine. Sunshine days next week. So probably people that have signed up, and people who have volunteered, but it's going to be happening. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, food truck. So we thank Dan and Me Sullivan, Mimi Cafe, for bringing their food truck. And it'll be, I think the food truck festivities will be Tuesday, which is great because I won't be around on Monday. So I didn't want to miss the big food truck day. Have you gotten a lot of bug bites lately? I did last week. I don't know if they're chiggers or what, but I can take mosquito bites, but sometimes I get these bites and it just seems like they spread. I don't know if something gets in there and it's like several bites in a row. So it's like some little biting insect is just having a feast on my flesh. And then finally they leave and I'm left for like 2 weeks itching and grabbing and all that stuff. So I know I'm not alone, so I'm not, I commiserate with you. I got this spray, anti-itch spray, works pretty good from the drugstore. And I've needed it. You don't want to be too squirrely during Mass when you're presiding and preaching, you know. It gets distracting for the people. We're gonna have a bike ride this coming Sunday, noon. The next softball is later in the, when is it? Later in the month. I'll let you know, but it's not this Sunday. Summerfest. So I mentioned Summerfest will be the next August 12th, 13th. I mentioned about the raffle tickets. Had a good afternoon of sales, or morning of sales last week, thanks to Christy Pitts selling those at the table after Masses. Thanks, Christy. But we'll have the sign-up sheets. You can do it through the website. I don't know, maybe now, but soon. But this weekend we'll have all the hard copies up on the bulletin board in the gathering space. So hopefully you'll hear of the announcement. But maybe come early for Mass and you can take a look at it so you don't have to, do it after Mass. So bike riding, fan deck. Father Greg, I didn't call him yet. Hopefully I can call him this week and welcome him to Eau Claire. He's the new pastor at St. Mary's Altoona, St. Raymond's in Brackett, Fall Creek, Augusta. So it'd be a nice addition to our city here. So not this, I have 2 more weekends with y'all, which is great. And then many more, God willing. But on the 22nd, 23rd, Father Shevs will be here. So that's exciting. People will enjoy that, especially maybe some of his former parishioners. He was pastor at Newman for like, I don't know, I always forget, 26 years or something like that, from the mid-'80s till around 2010. So the only problem is that I don't get to see him because he's here because I'm gone. I'll be going to visit my pals in Seattle. I got to call Jim. He said he wants to plan what we're going to do. He's an outdoors guy, so I hope I can keep up with him, camping or biking or something like that. Let's see. I just want to mention we had an interesting first reading today. It's the Genesis cycle we're going through in daily Mass, and so it's Abraham and Sarah. So God promises Abraham he'll have all these descendants, and he doesn't have any children, right? And they're old, and so he does have a child by his slave Hagar, who's named Ishmael, but that's kind of it. And then he's like 100 years old. You know, he feels he's out of the game, and it doesn't say how old Sarah is, but she's been long out of the game in her mind. Anyway, God has, says, it's one of my favorite. God, it's like an angel or someone tells Abraham, you're going to have a child with Sarah. And he's like, doesn't really believe it. And Sarah overhears in the tent, and she laughs. And it's just a silly thing that makes me laugh. But in the scriptures, it says something like, and then Abraham said to her, God reproached them for not believing, because it was going to happen. And then Abraham says to her, you were laughing, weren't you? And she said, no, I wasn't. And then he said, yes, you did. It's just right there. It's like scripture. It's like, Genesis chapter 18, verse 22. That's not what it actually is, but somewhere around there. But anyway, so, and before Sarah conceived, she's very bitter against Ishmael and Hagar. Apparently Hagar was maybe strutting around a little bit, proud that she had Abraham's child. So So it goes around, comes around. But when Sarah has a child, she's really nasty to Hagar. She's like, I have the heir. You don't have the heir. It says God promised to Abraham's descendants through my son, not yours. And she had Hagar banished into the desert. And in today's reading, God hears Hagar because they're like they're starving. They don't have any water, and they're in the desert in Beersheba. It's the Negev. It's the desert way south of Jerusalem in Bethlehem, and God sees them starving and without water in the desert, and He provides them water. And so then the psalm today was God hears the cry of the poor, which is good on that part. And he promises Hagar, your son will have a lot of descendants too. It's not going to be the line of Israel, and I think, I hate talking with partial knowledge, but I think you always got to verify what I say, because I think the Muslim people, you see that little fish jump? The Muslim people trace their lineage or ancestry through Ishmael, whereas the Jews through Isaac, but both through Abraham. So that's kind of a key thing. So when we were doing interfaith prayer, interfaith talks, interfaith activities, trying to make the world a better place by having people of religion live the peace and love that they profess pretty much in all their creeds, we're all children of Abraham. It's one of our common links. There's that song I like by Steve Earle called Jerusalem. I believe there'll come a day when all the children of Abraham will lay down their arms in Jerusalem, or something like that. I wish I had it at the top of my mind, but I don't. But anyway, but that's the gist of it, that we're all children of Abraham. So that much is good. But there's something there's this edge to being the chosen people, and so Jewish people are the chosen people, right? And I think even in we got a tough history, Christians, vis-a-vis Jews, right? But now at least things are good. I think we acknowledge that God made the first covenant with the Jewish people, and they have a very special place in God's heart. Therefore, they have a special place in our heart. They were the first keepers of the covenant. Jesus was Jewish. His apostles were Jewish. It's good. And so that's where we are today. There's no hostilities or any desire to think that the Jews have to become, Christian or Catholic. They are a part of God's chosen people and His legacy. And but it hasn't always been that way. Good Fridays before Vatican II, they'd pray for the perfidious Jews. The Jews without faith. Perfidious means without faith. That's insults. So thank heavens that was changed. And you see a lot of it in the scriptures too, right? And the Gospel of John especially, it's like the Jews did this, the Jews did that, for fear of the Jews. They were a lot in the upper room, and it always makes me cringe when I proclaim those gospel passages, because it's generalizing that all the Jews were like hostile toward Jesus, and all the Jews were hostile toward the apostles and the spreading of the Christian message. And no doubt there was opposition among many Jews, but no doubt, like I just said, Jesus was Jewish. His apostles were Jewish. St. Paul was Jewish. And there's just, so why did they write like that? Well, so in the Jewish perspective, they faced some problems. They're like, well, we're Jewish. We're kind of proud of being Jewish. I don't mean in a negative way. We're chosen people of God. We want to take our covenant with God seriously that He made with Abraham and Moses, the Ten Commandments, all the laws. And here are these Christians saying that Jesus is the Messiah, like he's the fulfillment of what it is to be Jewish. And some of them obviously were converted and believed that, but a lot of them didn't. And a lot of the early Christians were running around and saying that we're Jewish and Jesus is the Messiah. And the Jewish people kind of gathered around And they said, can they do that? I mean, who can really call themselves Jewish? And I don't even know if they use the word Jewish, but Judaism, or people of God in our tradition, the followers of the covenant of Moses. And I think they met around the year 90 or so, and they had a meeting of rabbis and all that. And they said, no, if you proclaim Jesus as Messiah, that takes you out of the tradition of what it is to be Jewish. Which to me is, it's fair enough. They're making the decisions about their religion. And so remember the man born blind in John, they throw him out of the synagogue. So there was some of that. You couldn't show up if you were professing Jesus as Messiah, as the Christ. If you were a Christian, then at a certain point in history, you weren't welcome to be in the synagogue anymore. And so, that just led to a lot of hostility. And so that's about when those gospel accounts were written, right? And so a lot of that hostility, I think, bled into the writing of the scriptures and the narration and the people that wrote it, if that makes sense. It was different times. It wasn't written in the year 33. They say the Gospel of John was written around 90. So it's when all that was happening. So anyway, so that's too bad. And then it led to a lot of, just over history. There was just a lot of blame the Jews for this, blame the Jews for that. And a lot of scapegoating toward them. And then, of course, the worst stuff in World War II and Hitler and the 6 million who died, And it was like good Christians thought that was all right. Not all of them, of course, but so just terrible stuff. Anyway, so then, what do you say? I didn't. It sounds bad. I said terrible stuff, like stuff. It's just horrendous, unthinkable. But it happened, and we have to grieve that and learn from that, I guess. So anyway, so what I wanted to mention about Sarah was, she really, so then she became the chosen one, and all the descendants of her and Isaac were going to be, or her and Abraham, so Isaac their child, and Isaac would have, Jacob and the others, and Jacob and Esau, and then Jacob would have the 12, and Israel comes to be. And so anyway, somewhat being chosen, there's this tension, what are you chosen? What does that mean? And my sense from listening to Jewish people over the years is that being the chosen people mean that we're chosen to be the light of the world. We need to be light. We need to serve the world. We need to be people that lead in the way of justice, in the way of fairness. And it certainly doesn't mean other people can't join us in all those efforts, but when you're a chosen people by God, you need to bring the values of God into the world, right? And so that's good. But what can happen? So like with Sarah, she's like, well, I'm chosen, and she's just kind of like, I don't know, over proud of it, not very humble about it, and she banishes Hagar and everything. It just seems to me in today's current events. So this is more political than religious, but as you know, a lot of political shenanigans gets couched in religious language. And so I don't know if you follow like Israel very close right now, but I've been in the Holy Land a lot, and it doesn't mean I'm an expert. I subscribe to a paper over there, and I try to keep up. But there's this sense among some, again, to say the Jews would be completely wrong. It's more a political movement, but it's couched in the language of being the chosen people, and this land is for us. And so they have no desire, but not even thought, that the land that they're settling and trying to be on should be shared with anyone else, because God gave it to them. And so more and more and more, there's just taking more land and more land and more land. So in 67, there was this war, and there was this whole thing called the West Bank, and that was going to be Palestinian territory, and the rest would be Israel territory, because Israel won the war, so they got a lot more land. And I don't want to put my foot in my mouth about this, but now that West Bank that was, set aside for Palestinians, more than half of it is just exclusively for the use of Israelis. gradually more and more the land is just being taken and settled, and they're building their own villages and just claiming it, saying it's not yours anymore, it's ours. And so there's been, not surprising when there's violence and bombings and all this stuff on both sides, because the one side feels like they're being humiliated and they want their land, and the other side feels like they're being attacked and they should be able to defend themselves. And so you can always sort of blame either side, but man alive, it doesn't seem to be solvable. And we need real peaceful hearts and people that and there are a lot of Israeli citizens that are just find it appalling, but right now the political situation is tough over there. So anyway, I guess I just started going off, but I guess the main thing is not to use religion for violence. And it gets used that way, and it can be like, well, we're chosen, we deserve it. And when you're chosen, it's not like you deserve anything. It's like you have more responsibility to be just, to be fair, to bring peace, to bring love. So that's the only point I wanted to make. We do pray for peace over there. So it's getting close to 30 minutes again. And I don't know, did I miss anything? All right. Good. Well, so loving God in this little peaceful place here that I found, the corner of the woods, little backwaters of the Chippewa River. We seek your blessings on the world. Help us to understand. I ask you to help me in my flawed understanding of things, and everybody, that we might really seek to understand each other and seek to live together, because we all are together. You put us all in this world. Help us overcome selfishness, self-righteousness. Help us to serve and to love, to be with those who are hurting, with compassionate hearts. Bless the Lord, my soul, and bless God's holy name. Bless the Lord, my soul, who leads me into life. Bless the Lord, my soul, and bless God's holy name. Bless the Lord, my soul, who leads me into life. God bless you, everybody. And speaking of the Holy Land, we got 30 bottles, 30-liter bottles of olive oil. I meant to bring one and show you, but it'll be for sale after Masses. They're $40. Good stuff. Bye now.